out to walk. Everybody knows it, everybody knows. It takes a soldier who knows his orders to walk the walk I'm supposed to walk.
Growing up around the family truck sales and service business, Ryan Young had his sights set on the horizon with high-flying aspirations as a commercial airline pilot, even earning his pilot's license before making a career connection in engineering. But when the opportunity to join the family business came up, Ryan punched his ticket into the trucking industry, and he is now president of Young Trucks in Canton, Ohio, responsible for 3 locations that cover everything from truck sales and leasing to truck service and body shop repair. Ryan's vision for the business, investment in technology, and get-it-done attitude make him a vehicle care rock star. Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit, right? Young Trucks, you're 4th generation within the ownership group. How did Young Trucks get started, and how did you find your way there?
So Young Trucks started back in 1954. It was started by basically the first and second generation at the same time. So hence why we've been around for 70 years and we've already gotten through to 4 generations. But started off as a single point selling white trucks in Canton, and have expanded to 2 different dealerships selling 3 different brands right here in Canton.
Right. What was your experience? Take me into kind of the family business, right? Did you have exposure to it growing up? Did you think it was something you were going to do when you grew up? What was that experience like?
So my dad, when I was young, was a service manager and ended up being a used truck manager later. But so as he was a service manager, I used to really enjoy going into work and checking out the trucks. A lot of times, when I'd be out of school, it'd be after hours and it'd be in the dark, and I'd be running around the whole shop and going up into the parts area, and it was kind of fun. So, I was around the business. My mom did the vending machines, so I ended up helping do that. I always was the one that did the pop machines and counted the change, the quarters from the machine too. So, got to know a lot of employees back then. Just being a kid working on the vending machines, and some still employed with us to this day.
Oh yeah, okay. So in that regard, so then you're growing up, you're kind of working around the shop there, doing the small stuff. Did you ever think, well, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do when I grow up, or what were your aspirations, or where did you think you'd end up there?
So I was always interested in being part of the business. I can say literally I had some employees asking, hey, so when you're going to come in and join and whatnot. But my parents never pushed. It wasn't, a lot of times I think in family businesses, parents really try to push their kids to go to it. And there was definitely not that case for any of us, actually. So I at one point just wanted to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force was what my goal was when I was young. But as I got older, I kind of split in between going the airline route or going into engineering. The family business wasn't really an option at the time.
Right. Well, and so going back to it, so then you got a degree in, is it aeronautics? Okay, and there's some drafting in there. You have your pilot's license. Why? So how did you end up then in trucks instead of going into the airline or commercial airline or in that world?
So I ended up, like I said, I was kind of in between doing engineering and wanted to be a commercial airline pilot. I went to Kent State and that's where I got my pilot certificate, 141 school. Got my degree in aeronautics, but I did get it right after September 11th. So interestingly enough too, when that all happened, all of us got investigated big time because that was done by students of college type aeronautics schools. But anyways, there really wasn't very many jobs available, aeronautic industry at that time. So I kind of fell back on I did CAD drafting and engineering when I was in high school. And I did a lot of classes that were in that same route through college and fell back on using those skills and did engineering and bill of materials for a signage company.
Okay. So was that the first job out of school then? So you graduated with the degree and then you're drafting for the signage company there?
Correct. Yeah, I went and started doing drafting and like the design and manufacturing of signs right out of college.
What brought you back to Young Trucks?
So interestingly enough, so the third gen, I don't think they were really interested in having the fourth gen takeover. They were planning on, I believe, selling the business at the time, and the story as I'm told was that one of our attorneys said, do you guys not have competent kids that would be interested? Because we got a heck of a company going on here. And they thought that they did, and they gave us an opportunity. I literally had my dad call me out to dinner one night, and we sat down, and he said, would you be interested? And I said, I've been pretty well interested my whole life. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. So I got to go home and tell my wife I accepted a job, not knowing what I was going to do, what I was going to get paid, or even what hours I was going to work.
Right.
Kind of an interesting evening.
So, yeah, I can imagine that conversation. So what was the first job? So you're interested in this, you're going to go into this. There's a lot to learn, right? And clearly, a smart guy like you that has gone from, well, I'll fly planes to draft on the engineering side. But again, this is a different environment. A little, maybe there's some changes since you'd been exposed to it. What was your first job walking in? What were kind of your thoughts going into it?
So they kind of had the plan of running any of the family members through basically a training program, parts, service, sales, having us kind of all do the different sections. And where I started was as a service advisor. So I was the guy that you saw at the window when you come up to drop your truck off for service, and rode it up and got it to the shop. Right.
Yeah, you simplified there, but you're like the first line, especially for that customer. I mean, it gives you a frontline view of the customer interactions, right? Oftentimes, I can imagine if someone's bringing a truck in or dropping the truck off, maybe not the best day they're having if it has to get serviced, right? What did you learn? What did that kind of teach you and get you ready for in taking a larger management role?
So my joke with that is it's kind of like working lost luggage. Nobody coming into your window is usually having a very good day. Right. Outside of doing normal PM maintenance, usually by the time a truck driver is looking at you, a lot of those guys are guaranteeing that their loads are going to be delivered, and it's going to be delivered on time. So sometimes they'll be broke down on the side of the road. They got to worry about getting a wrecker. They also have to worry about paying somebody else to deliver their load. So they've basically lost the revenue that they planned on getting. Right. They've had to pay a tow bill, and now they don't know what they're going to have to pay to get the truck back on the road. So they're usually not having the best of times by the time they talk to you.
Right. How do you approach that? That's a lot of those kind of soft skills, customer interaction. How did that kind of prepare you in kind of a larger role? How did you approach that, right? Someone comes up to your window, they're not having a great day. Do you have any tips for how you disarm that, or approach them, or even just understand what they're going through?
A lot of times, just listening to the customer, really understanding what their problems are, hearing them through. If there's anybody that's going to know what's going wrong with that truck, it's going to be the guy or girl that's been sitting behind the wheel of it for miles upon miles. So they can usually point you in a really good direction of where to start. But just letting them know what the process is, making sure that they know that that they're important, and that you're going to get the truck back on the road as soon as possible.
Right. So service advisor, what was the next step then in the growth plan?
So I feel like my growth plan turned out to be whenever there was another area to fill. This is kind of what happened. So my next step was we had a leasing manager that was looking to retire. Okay. So I kind of shadowed beside him. Interesting. And worked on learning about leasing and rental. Right. We didn't do very much of that at the time, but I kind of learned that business and started getting into our customers that did leasing and rental.
Right. Yep. Maybe, a little, the conversations aren't as dire as with the guys dropping the trucks off, but still it can be interesting, right? It's a different phase of the business, and kind of cool that, you put whatever slot needs filled, but I imagine you got around in the company and got a real good understanding of how the company operates and what it means to the customers at the different areas and how those groups interact with those people.
Yeah, I think a really good place for anybody that's wanting to, learn how to run a dealership or to be part of management of a dealership. Working in leasing, I think, is a really good place to start or to get to, because you interact with all the departments. Mm-hmm. So, definitely in leasing, it's not as dire as on the service side. Matter of fact, it shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. We call it guaranteed transportation, mm-hmm. because your job is to make sure that the trucks are ready to go. Service intervals are all done. But so in leasing, you work with the parts department because you're running the trucks through service and getting parts or anything extra the customer would want. You're dealing with the service departments when you have PMs and also any other maintenance. You also learn to deal with other dealerships. When somebody has a truck broke down on the road someplace else or mobile service, so you're interacting with them. And then always keeping the customer, updated as to what's going on. And then you're dealing with the new side when it comes to having new trucks come in. And you're dealing with used trucks when it's time to sell. So you really do touch just about every side of the company, including accounting, because there's a lot of accounting involved in leasing.
For sure. What's the next step after leasing then?
So, like I said, we ended up having a general manager that had left us at the time, and so I was kind of running around taking care of everything. I have a hard time standing on the sidelines, so whenever I see the things that had to be taken care of, I jumped in, and so I kind of did that for a little while. And the previous president came to me and was like, "Well, you're pretty much doing the job of general manager already. Would you like the title and the office?" Right. I was like, "Well, I was a little nervous about it, but I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's see what I can do with it."
Right. Perfect. So as you're growing in the business, right, in the family company, I mean, you're also learning a lot of the management side too, and I often find that can be you learn a lot through experience there, right? And it's kind of easier to work on your stuff than oftentimes it is to work with people. What is your management style, and how do you work with your team?
So, and I think you hit it on the head. Yeah. So my background, when you're working on a CAD job in an office by yourself, you're really not managing a lot of people. So that's an area where I struggle, and I still work on to this day. One of the things that I did and I continue to do is I try to hire people that are really good at those things and have that experience, and not only teach our employees those management skills, but myself included.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you often find too, it's a lot of. You have the direction the business needs to go, right, and then being able to put that into a plan and then manage people to build that in the plan, right? It's fun that on the outside looking in, it can all seem like a very well constructed type strategy, and then when you're actually doing and implementing it, though, it can feel very. Just kind of dealing with it in the moment, what needs to happen then, right? And getting people to understand the larger goal and that kind of thing. Especially with all the investment you have going on. You got 3 locations. You not only are, so you're doing truck sales, you're doing truck service. We've been to the location, we've seen you've invested already on the EV side to be able to service EVs, right? I believe you do natural gas too, and you have everything, and there's a whole host of things that you have to do at the location to do that. So just kind of bringing people along when you're making those investments, I imagine can just be, I don't want to say challenging, but it's you got to get them to understand everyone's role in being able to do that, right?
So I think we're really good at trying to be really diverse. We want to be the experts in this field. We want to be the ones that our customers come to for all of their truck needs. So we've invested in, we do trailer work also. So we'll work on trailer repairs, reefers, whatever. So we can work on the truck, we can work on the trailer. If you're interested in doing natural gas, we have an entire service facility that's dedicated to that. If you're want to learn more about EVs or start into EV trucks, we have the service for that. Definitely getting the guys to be interested. So technicians working on natural gas and electric. We definitely have some volunteers that are interested in doing those, but you definitely got to pull along some guys to get outside the norm of doing diesel trucks. We've even recently invested in and are looking at maybe doing airport tugs.
Oh yeah.
So
interesting.
When you got a whole bunch of guys that are really good at fabricating, putting things together, and working on engines, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's we can work on it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, and I know you and I were talking a little earlier too, just the rate at which technology moves too, even diesel technology. Incredibly complicated. Got to stay on top of that. There's the after treatment systems that are changing model year to model year too as well. Going back, so you've seen a lot of parts of the business. You've come up through it. What have been some of those standout challenges for you? What have you had to kind of deal with and overcome, and what did it teach you? Do you have any moments that stand out as oh yeah, that was a tough nut to crack, but we did it and it's all good now?
I would say one of the toughest things that I went through, which looking back didn't seem all that tough, but I remember, so I was vice president at the time, and our president, Craig Young, was on a vacation, and he was in Jamaica, and wasn't available. And we got an opportunity to buy a bunch of trucks at a very, very good rate. And I really wasn't sure whether or not I had the guts to pull the trigger on having that many stock trucks that were, not sold and would actually be up against our floor plan limits. So I didn't know what would happen if we went over them, if we didn't sell them fast enough. So, I mean, it scared me to my core, really.
Yeah.
And, but ultimately, I was able to make the decision to move forward and purchase them, and we got through them. So it ended up being a good story, and also, kind of set me up for the future to, be able to make the moves that I need to make to be successful.
Right. Yeah. I hear you too. There are those gut feeling moments. You can do it. This is the direction you can go, but it does kind of take some. There's risk there. So what was the conversation when he came back from Jamaica? How did that go? Was it you did what, or like, okay, this one's on you?
It went pretty well.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he understood what we were looking to do, and he I think appreciated our confidence that we were going to be able to get through the trucks. And ultimately, like I said, it ends up being a good story because we did get through them, and it taught us that we could, and we can continue to do.
Right. What's been your favorite part of the job and the experience?
My favorite part is, I like to think I don't like change. But at the same time, I think my favorite part is looking back, and you get involved in the day-to-day all the time. You mentioned some of the changes going into natural gas and doing electric, and just updating our parts delivery fleet with vehicles that all look the same, and trying to get a real cohesive look. It is fun looking back and seeing all the different little things and how they all add up together, and there's just the overall change and the adapting and the growing.
And yeah, outside looking in, it seems like you're, a really progressive, forward-thinking. Your service locations, your investments there. You guys run a body shop as well. That all to me has always been like, wow, you guys are one of the most progressive, I'd say, dealerships that I've really been around, right, and seeing on a daily working basis. So, it's just surprising to me that you'd say that. That change is a challenge or you don't like it, because on the outside looking in, it looks like you're changing every day almost.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We've got a heck of a team. So in the fourth gen, there's four of us too. So all the current owners all come from different backgrounds and fields, and all of us brought something different, I believe, back to the family business. The previous generation mostly had just worked at the dealership and not worked outside. So. I think we really have experts looking at things in different ways than it's ever been looked at before, and we come together as a team and really do set the direction and try to grow and be forward-looking.
What kind of challenges come with a family business and being on that family side, right? I don't have a really great example. Does Thanksgiving, depending on the year, it's really good or really weird?
I will say my wife has even kind of made rules sometimes too, cause, when you're working a lot of hours and you're around each other all the time, it's really hard not just to start talking shop.
Right.
When you're with the rest of the family, but. I think we do a pretty good job now of recognizing, hey, we've now made a huddle in the corner of Thanksgiving dinner,
right,
and we're all talking about the business, and
right,
we need to stop doing that and really focus on the family and everything else that's going on. So
right,
that's
yeah,
one of the big challenges of family business.
That's a good idea. Yeah, there's a kid's birthday party going on here, everybody. This isn't a team meeting. Speaking of that too, with your kids, so now with you in the business, leading the business, how do you view it with your kids? How do you expose them? Are any of them involved? What's your outlook for what they want to do?
So I got a couple kids. One's 21 and one's 12. So kind of two different areas of their life. Both seem somewhat interested in joining. Again, I'm going back to even how my parents were. I don't want to push. I want them to do what makes them happy. And this is definitely not an easy job. So I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I really want them, if they're interested, to get involved if they wanted to. If not, I'd definitely love them to get involved in any other field. One of the rules I've kind of told my kids, and rules might be made to be broken, but we'll see. is I really don't want them coming, directly out of college and working for the company. I'd like them to get the experience that I had and the other fourth gens had, and if they really wanted to work in this industry, maybe work with another friendly dealer that I know in another state to get some background, and or try a different industry and get to be able to bring something different to the table.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's really, really good advice. Do your kids say anything about it? Do they say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," or "Oh, do they think about it at all?" Or
I think my oldest is somewhat interested. He's asked if there'd be an opportunity for it, and I said absolutely, and I kind of set down those terms. My youngest is probably one of our biggest cheerleaders, and definitely tells everybody that's what he wants to do. So he's probably closer to being me back in when I was young, and he's really excited about trucks, loves going for rides, and loves being able to tell everybody about them, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, Ryan, we are going to play a little game called B-Sides to get to know you better. I'm going to give you a series of choices, and you tell us which ones you prefer. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, that was the first question. Good job. Here we go. What was your first concert?
My first concert was Leonard Skinner and Sammy Hagar. It actually was a present for being best man.
Awesome. What was the last concert you went to?
The last concert I went to, oh geez, I have to think for a second. Probably for King and Country.
Best concert you've ever been to?
It'd be between For King and Country and Maroon 5. I'm gonna go for the Christmas version of For King and Country.
Wow, okay. Rock or hip hop?
Rock.
Country or Christian music?
Christian music.
Jazz, East Coast or West Coast?
Oof. East Coast.
Rap, East Coast or West Coast?
Oddly enough, I'm probably gonna go West Coast on that.
Saxophone or drums?
Drums.
All right, we're gonna shift some gears to some hobbies here. Muscle car or dirt bike?
Muscle car.
Camaro or Corvette?
Camaro.
Camaro or Charger?
Definitely Camaro.
All right, football. Would you rather go to a Buckeyes game or a Browns game?
Depends on the season, but probably Browns.
Spoken like a true Cleveland fan. We're gonna bring it back for the encore on music. Favorite song?
Favorite song? Man, I don't know if I have. Don't Stop Believing, probably from Journey.
Favorite album?
I'm trying to even think what the name of the album was. I think all the way back to my first album was Guns N' Roses. I'm trying to think of what the name of it was.
Appetite for Destruction?
It was Appetite for Destruction. Very good.
Love it. Song lyric that would be your anthem?
Man, I don't know how to answer that one. I could tell you one I've used for an anthem would be, was it Bamba Wamba or whatever it is? I get knocked down, I get up again.
I get knocked down, then I get up again. Ryan, you are a true rock star. Thank you so much for taking the time. Did a great job.
Thank you.